Welcome to the Good for Others show. I'm your host, John Valencia, and with me today is Tonya Torosian, the CEO of Promises2Kids. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Tanya has dedicated her career to transforming the lives of foster children, turning challenges into opportunities and dreams into realities. Under her leadership, Promises2Kids has provided critical resources, mentorship, and hope to thousands of youth navigating the foster care system. Tanya's work with children and nonprofit management spans over 30 years. Tanya's unwavering passion and innovation approach have set a new standard for advocacy and support. Since taking the helm, she has grown the organization from 1 million to an astounding 6 million. Yes?
9.
9 million? I figured that might be a little higher, which is a true and incredible testament to her vision, dedication, and ability to rally others around a shared purpose. She's not just a leader, she's a visionary committed to ensuring every child has the chance to thrive. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow, what an introduction. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's amazing. So, to kick off today's podcast, I'm going to ask you a few lightning round questions so that we
Sure.
get to know you a little better. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect.
All right. Would you rather speak every language or play every instrument? Hmm.
Speak every language.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I could travel.
Oh,
Right.
makes travel a lot
Yeah.
easier. Would you rather go skydiving or scuba diving?
Scuba diving.
Ooh, have you done it?
No.
Well, put on the to-do list. Would you rather always sing when you speak or always dance when you walk?
Oh, absolutely dance.
I
Yeah.
love that. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I think it would be dinner and it would definitely be eggplant parmesan.
So specific. I love that.
It's my favorite.
What's your dream vacation destination? Beach, mountains, or city?
Beach.
And if you could have any animal in the world as a pet, what would it be? Hmm,
I guess simple. A dog.
a great dog. And on a more serious note, who or what inspires you?
Hmm. I think the kids that we serve inspire us. Just the resiliency that human beings have
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly inspiring.
Mm-hmm. So before we jump into the topic today, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So, gosh, I grew up in Wisconsin,
Mm,
Madison, and born and raised, and just grew up always having community service around me. My parents always volunteered in various ways, and then I went to college in Madison and graduated and decided I wanted to live in a big city. So moved to Chicago, and that's really where I heard about foster care. That was my first job.
mm,
And so I met some incredible children that had had some really challenging experiences. And I learned at that point that foster care wasn't what I had thought it was. I thought it was a true happy solution to um, a very difficult start in life. And what I realized is it really just continued that disappointment and sometimes abuse and care.
mhm,
And so in learning that, I think is really where I think I found I guess my ultimate challenge of how do I help these youth raise their voices, be heard, and make substantive change. So that's kind of
mhm,
what really moved me,
mhm.
and I've like to move. So I moved to Arizona for a bit.
Okay.
Went from the extreme cold to the extreme heat.
Yeah.
Got my master's, and then ended up here in San Diego. And
Mm,
been here well over 20 years, and
mm,
I love it.
mm. That's amazing. And when did you start with Promises to Kids?
I worked there actually twice. The first time was in 2005. I worked there for about 3 years. And at that time, I was a fundraiser. And then I left and came back as CEO in 2011.
Mm, amazing. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service to all
Well,
those kids in need.
thank you.
So, when you talk about your career, obviously you were inspired by what you saw. But even before that, how did you know that you kind of wanted to get into a life of like service?
Oh, I think it's kind of a blend of the easy path as well as what resonated with me. So when I was looking at courses and where I excelled in school, it always was around social science, social work, psychology, those type of courses, and not so much into the math, the sciences. So I think that sort of shaped my options.
Uh-huh.
I remember one time statistics coming up, and I was like, "Oh man, like this just isn't for me." And so,
Mm.
looking at what courses really did I enjoy and did I thrive in, and so that sort of determined my educational path. But then my passion was always when I would meet somebody that maybe I could make an impact with.
Mm, that's great.
Yeah.
And so you okay, so then you worked at with the foster care
Mhm.
organization, fell in love with that. Were there other areas within the nonprofit sector that you were also interested in too?
No,
Yeah.
not really. It's just always there. I mean,
Mm,
if I think about other things that matter to me, I think it's taking care of family. So I know that what's difficult to for me to think about is elderly folks that maybe don't have family that's visiting or aren't taking care of them. So I did volunteer for a little bit for an elder serving organization, but
mm,
I find really my passion is in children.
mm. Now, when you think of your career, you landed in a fundraising world that
Mhm.
lots of us start with or land ourselves in. How did that happen? And were you just kind of like, oh, I want to start raising money, or like what was that career path for you?
I think like so many of us, it was accidental. I ended up at an agency where I was in charge of designing new programs. And so I was excited about designing a program for foster children. At that time, at 18, they aged out. So looking at what could we do to support them post 18. And so designed a program. And then I went and said, okay, let's implement it. And the CEO at the time said, great, well, we don't have the money. So what are we gonna do? And I remember thinking, "Oh, okay." And she said, "There's plenty of money out there, go find it." And we had never fundraised as an agency, and so I was like, "Okay." Looking that up and wrote a grant and got it, and I was really excited. So I just kept kind of writing grants to basically make sure that the services that I felt were so critical could happen. And so then it became like a game, like a competition of, what else can we do for these kids and what else can we make happen? And
Mm,
so I just loved it.
that's amazing. Um, Tell us, for those who don't know, more about what Promises to Kids does.
Yeah, so we support children from the moment they come into foster care all the way through to adulthood. And I like to say we fill in the gaps left behind really by an imperfect system. So it could be one of our main programs is called Camp Connect. And it's when brothers and sisters come into foster care and are separated. So they have to live apart. We come in from Promises to Kids and hold a summer camp for them to reunite. We meet every month. We do individual sibling visits. Maybe we take them to the beach, the park, just so they can make sure to maintain a bond.
Mm,
Um, and that's a really important thing because when you think about coming into foster care, you've experienced some pretty traumatic life events. And usually the only person you have who really understands that is your brother or sister. And then if that's also stripped away from you and you lose that contact, you really feel truly isolated and often without hope. And so bringing that together at least allows them to have a family connection.
yeah. How big is your budget? I mean, you told us 9 million.
Yeah, 9 million. Yeah.
Pretty
So,
amazing.
yeah.
How big's your staff?
Our staff is 63. So that includes about 15 former foster youth who we train, hire, and support to be advocates to other children still in care.
Mm. And volunteers?
Volunteers, we have about 400.
Wow. And what does this give it a day in the life of a volunteer with you? What do they get to do?
Yeah, so they get to do a whole host of things. It could be a one-on-one mentor for some of our students that are aging out of foster care and in our collegiate program, sort of providing that guidance, that support. We also have opportunities to volunteer to help plan like parties for the kids around the holidays. We're getting ready to do the annual holiday parties, so those are planned. And then also serving as camp counselors during our summer camp.
Where does your camp
It's
where
up
is
in
it?
Julian.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really neat.
How long is it?
It's 5 nights.
5 nights.
Mhm.
I bet that's magical.
It is. It's really neat. We do things like, not only is it sometimes the first time they've been with nature, right, up in that kinda setting, but then we do things like, a really neat talent show where everyone comes and they think they don't have any talent, right? Or they're nervous or they don't wanna share, and then by the end of it, they just keep getting up there and doing stuff, and it's pretty
Mm,
cool.
the
Yeah.
confidence you see,
Yeah.
just wow. So, when you are working with foster youth, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing right now that they're really facing?
Mhm. Homelessness is a big one as they're aging out. Just looking at statistics nationally and locally, it's around 1 in 3 former foster youth will become homeless. And so we're trying to how do we set that up and prevent that? So really supporting things like it comes down to economics, right? If you don't have enough money, you don't have enough money. It
Mm,
doesn't matter how many other services you have if you can't pay the bill you're on the street. So we're combining some financial assistance and support alongside intensive case management, mental health services, career guidance, looking at training, deciding what path do they want to take in life,
right.
and then helping them find the right path so they
Mm,
can be self sustaining.
mm. Do you have any of your favorite stories of some of your successes?
Yeah, so there's an individual who I'll change his name. I'll call him George.
Mm,
George was in community college and he was really excited. His goal was ultimately to graduate from there and go on to a 4 year university, major in business. And he was one of those individuals who grew up in and out of the juvenile justice system. So he always had struggles with probation and different things. And it was one of those situations where he grew up in that environment.
mm,
And all he wanted to do was change, but he would kind of get in with the wrong crowd. And so he was always persevering and he ended up hearing about a partnership that we were going to have with Lennar,
mm,
just a local home builder. And well, national home builder, but here locally, they wanted to do a very brief, um, introduction, sort of vocational training program,
mm.
and then immediately guarantee that they could at least have an interview with a
Oh,
company.
great.
So, he said, "Well, I need a job." And so his intent with this was not to change careers, but really just to get a second job. So he went through the very brief training. It was less than 6 weeks, and he went through, and sure enough, he was interviewed, and he got a job.
Wow.
And he's now making almost $80,000 a year
Mm,
and, loves his job. He is in charge of making sure that when you buy a new home, that he goes through sort of the punch lists and make sure that,
mm,
everything that needs to be done, is handled by the builder, and so he loves it. He's now training other people
mm.
and, graduated with um, uh, his degree and has decided that he doesn't wanna go back to the 4 university right now.
Well,
He's just happy.
good
So,
for him.
yeah.
Wow, and congrats to your org for all that work.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just a great community partnership,
Mm,
to provide those opportunities that can quickly get somebody into a job that then can change
mm,
your life. I
mm.
think that
Yeah.
sometimes it's about speed.
Well, and I think one of the things I've always appreciated working with you is your mindset on collaboration and partnerships and thinking differently
Yeah.
about them, right? So, are there some, I mean, that was a great partnership you have. What can you talk about a little bit about other partnerships you've kind of created that may be just unique or different, but sometimes we have these harebrained ideas and they
Yeah.
turn into something good. Do you want to have something you would want to share with
Yeah, I
us
mean,
about?
right now, just kind of our homeless prevention program, we were
Mm,
talking a lot about that. It's more of a funding partnership, but it's interesting because um, it was just this idea, based off of other models that have been done around some, income support and others, and I just started talking to anybody that I could about it, and, came into contact with the Lucky Duck Foundation,
yeah.
and they helped us launch it with, their funding and then, brought in a little bit of the city money and then also, the Regional Task Force on the Homelessness, and several months later, here we are, we're about ready to enroll 50 young people in this truly innovative pilot projects. So there was that partnership. But our organization's been built on public-private partnership. You know, we're almost 100% philanthropy funded. We don't
Mhm.
do a lot of we don't have government grants and contracts to support us. Um, and so it's always about being innovative. We've worked with Homemade San Diego, who's
Mm.
helped us do construction projects when we needed. We've partnered with San Diego County Office of Ed to make sure that we're able to work collaboratively and best case manage for kids that are still in school. So,
Wow, that's exciting.
yeah,
Yeah, thinking big,
yeah.
thinking differently
Hmm.
leads to good change.
Right?
That's amazing.
Mm.
What would you say when you think back about your career has been maybe a blessing in disguise? Like
Mm.
maybe it seemed like a big challenge at the time or a struggle, or you thought, "Oh my gosh, this is what do I do now?"
Mm.
Do you have those moments where you're thinking now in your career and being like, "Wow, here I am helping all these foster youth, doing really cool magical work," but then you're like, "Man, at that moment in life, it just seemed something was crushing down or wasn't going our way." Like, so many of the folks we're helping in our training program, right? We hear these stories and they're like, "Oh, I'm at this, like, crux in my life. Like, where do I go? Should I try this? Should I go here?" Do you have any moments where you think about you're like, "Oh, man, at the time, it just seemed awful, but it's
Right.
not so awful now."
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really when I was looking into my master's program. I enrolled for the purpose of being a therapist, right? For these younger individuals that I just left working with in Chicago. So my intent was to be a therapist, and I got into my classes and I realized, 1, I didn't like that at all. 2, I don't think I had the patience for it, and 3, I just kept because I don't like to give up, I just kept saying, "Well, no, it'll be fine. I'll just push through." And it was one of my professors who was like, "Hey, come over here. I think that you should be administrative. Like, I
Mm,
know that you're here to help. This is definitely your passion, and you can help more the way that you wanna help through systemic change." And so I think at that time it was sort of admitting that I wasn't going to reach that goal that I had
mm,
originally thought, but being really excited about this whole new opportunity that I didn't know existed. So I feel like had I not listened to that and taken that advice, I probably would be in a very different space today
mm,
around maybe not even as satisfied at all in my position.
mm.
So
Do you have any advice that you'd wanna give yourself if you could fly back in time and tell yourself anything in the for your career?
mm. Yeah, I would say that sometimes when you hear a no, it's not a no, it's a not now.
Yeah.
And I think trusting yourself to
Mm,
figure out it's just a pause and you just need to figure out which way you're going to pivot. And sometimes I think earlier on I would just take a no as a no.
mm,
And so encouraging people to say, maybe I just need to think about it a different way.
right,
Come
different
back to yeah,
perspective,
and
and
regroup. Mhm,
maybe take that as some data to say, "Well, why are they
mhm,
saying no?" Yeah,
mhm,
that's a good one. Um, what advice would you give to someone, like, looking to work in the nonprofit sector? Like, we're finding, there's 12,000 nonprofits here in San Diego. So many open positions. People are bouncing around, so we're always trying to hire the right people. But what advice would you have for someone who's maybe listening or going through a program and they they think, "Well, I've been doing this for a while. Should I
mhm.
pivot?" Any advice you'd give?
Yeah, I would say make sure that you find the nonprofit that you're really passionate about. Um, when I hire, I really try to make sure that not only is the skill set there, but really that they care about our specific mission, not just
Mhm,
giving back, but there's a reason why they really care about helping children or helping foster children because the work is hard and you really have to be connected to the mission, I think, in order to sometimes make it through kind of those difficult challenges.
mhm. And obviously in the nonprofit space, there's so much burnout that can happen. What do you do to help minimize burnout for yourself and even for your staff and volunteers?
I always say like work hard, play hard. So I will work a lot, but then I take vacations and I use that time, and I'm finally able to now turn off sort of. Um, I'm still working even though I'm on vacation mode. So I really do try to respect that now. And I think the biggest change was when we had our son is to that sort of forced that because otherwise I'd be on vacation and always be working.
Right.
And then
Easy to do.
right, and then when we, had our son, everything changed. I wanted to be
Mm,
fully present, and so it forced that change, and it's been wonderful to be able
mm,
to do that. So I would advise other people to
yeah,
find whatever it is that, um, fills their, space or fills their cup and carve out time for that.
yeah. And what about for staff? You try to
Yeah.
what do you do as some best practices? Because 'Cause we're hearing a lot of folks come up with some creative ideas, but still it's always hard, right? Because you wear so many hats in the nonprofit world, and how do you what about for your staff? We wear so many different hats, and it's so easy for those who are so passionate to the work to wanna just keep working and working.
Right.
What are you learning that are some of the best practices you're trying to instill in staff at
Yeah.
Promises to Kids?
I find that, it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. So even if I say don't work all the time, if I'm working all the time, there's this reinforcement of that they should be working all the
Mm,
time. So I tell my directors and supervisors to make sure that they're careful of, not reaching out, on the weekends or not reaching out at night unless there's like a true emergency. Trying to set boundaries for themselves that then they can reflect back. We also do some fun stuff. We had like a company picnic, we do a Padres game. We make sure that about once a quarter we do something just strictly fun.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, our team, we just went to Mama's Kitchen last week, and it was great to see Eva and the team, and we were like, "Put us to work. What can you do?" And we were packaging things, but it was just really fun for the team to get out for a few hours and
Yeah.
just realize what we do, right? To support all of these nonprofits doing good work. What would you say, for you has been maybe some of those key characteristics you are looking for when you're hiring?
Hmm.
Obviously, you mentioned passionate for the
Hmm.
work. Are there maybe a few other traits that you really, if you have two people and they
Right.
both have the technical skills and the soft skills, and it comes down to that fit piece, what is it that you are looking for within your organization that I think helps you kind of know, like, this might be a really good fit for us?
I think flexibility.
Oh,
Yeah. Like I think that you have to really be nimble and I think
mm,
you have to be willing to um figure out a different path or a different way to things
mm,
because nonprofits change a lot. And, um, it's sort of like trying to figure out how we're going to do, more with less or how we're going to, um, basically find a creative solution for, in our case, a child, but in any nonprofit, find a different resource for somebody that is non-traditional because everything else is gone. And so
mm,
I think that we really have to be flexible and figure out a different path.
that's good. Okay, so passionate, flexibility, and maybe something else?
Let's see. Uh, I would say not afraid to ask questions,
Mm,
you know? Somebody who's always trying to learn, always trying to advance, always trying to, um, seek a new understanding.
yeah, those are good. Um, what about some events that you guys have throughout the year? I know you have your big gala. Tell us a little bit about some of the events that you just have sprinkled throughout the year that people could get involved in.
Yeah, so we have, one called Distilled, and it is a whiskey Scotch bourbon tasting, and, it's really fun. We do it in a, uh car collector's warehouse. So it's kind of fun. You get to see some really neat vehicles at the same time, test or taste a variety of different scotches and whiskeys and bourbons,
Mm.
and then raise some critical funds for foster children. So we have an auction and different things like
What
that.
what month of the year is that usually in?
It's in May, so it's really fun. May is foster care month, so but it's in May, and tickets are affordable. They start around 75 and then the VIP experience, which includes more educational around different brands and
Mm.
different types of whiskeys can,
Mm.
you know. also be purchased.
That's great. And then in September, you usually have something fun.
Yeah, September is our big event. So we've been doing this for quite some time. I think it's our 15th or 16th year. And it's a concert and a fundraiser. So it's our annual fundraiser where we bring together usually national level talent. We just had Earth, Wind, and Fire this year, and be able to wait, no, we didn't.
I would say,
Cool
wait,
and
I think it
Gang.
was Cool and
Sorry,
Gang.
Earth,
That's
Wind, and
okay.
Fire. All right.
That's
So I'll
fun.
start that again.
Yeah, well, and then oh, yeah, so then we can go. And then in September, you usually have a fun event. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in September, we have our annual concert. It's been going on 15 years. We bring together national level talent. And then we have the auctions and the fundraiser. We have some of our youth that get up and talk about their experience. It's very mission centric, and in which it's our one opportunity to share with about 550 people why they should be supporting foster children and the difference that they can make with just a small amount of money. And so it's a fun evening. This year we had Cool and the Gang perform. We've had other folks in the past that again have been national level talent. We've had Cheap Trick and some others. So every year it's always, "Who are you gonna have?" And so,
Mm.
usually we don't know till the end, but
Is that true? I always wondered how far you're.
yeah, sometimes it's not till, like, May or June that we find out because, we're trying to capitalize on folks that are already traveling, to save
Mhm.
money and to do some things. So, it just all has to line up with the entertainment.
And then you have this secret for a while. How long do you keep the secret?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes it's been, like, 6 months, sometimes it's, like, 2 or 3 months.
Uh,
So
I can imagine that.
mhm,
That's pretty fun.
yeah.
Great. And then during the holidays, do you do something where?
We do. We're really, that's where we have a lot of our youth focused events and activities because around the holidays, most people think about happy family memories or spending time with friends. And for former foster children and foster children, it's not the same experience, right? Usually it's not happy. They're separated, they're isolated. So we try to bring them together to do something fun. So for our Camp Connect kids, we're going to go and see the play with the Grinch.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's fun.
and then followed up with a party where one of our corporate partners, ICW Group, buys gifts for all of the children, and we have a really nice lunch. Um,
Mm.
and then for our older young people, so those that are in college and career focused, we're doing just a really fun holiday party. So
Mm.
yeah, it's been nice.
Mm. All right, so now it's time for our segment we call Three Wishes.
Okay.
So let's imagine there's a genie here, and the genie is going to give you three wishes. What would your first wish be?
Wow, that's really hard. I think my first wish would be something amazing around travel. Like, I love to travel. I love to, we like to take our son, expand his kind of understanding of the world and other people. So I would like to take an extensive multi-country
Mm.
um
And
trip.
you can throw in the you know all the languages now,
Right.
so
See,
you
that
could
would be
really go everywhere.
perfect. That'd be
Full
great.
circle, I like
Yeah.
that. What would your second wish be?
My second wish would be to have enough um financial resources to really make a large impact in an organization.
Mm.
I always see others in the community that are able to do that, and I've always wanted to be able to do something really large to say, "I've solved this problem," or "I've provided a solution that
Mm.
otherwise wouldn't be there."
A true transformation,
Yeah,
and long term,
long term.
be great. And what about your third wish?
Third wish is to make sure that I do whatever I can to, as a parent, to make sure that my son grows up kind
Mm.
and has everything that he possibly needs.
Mm. I love them.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tanya, for being here. I just want to thank you for your true passion and dedication to supporting so many youth that really, really need it. So thank you
Thank you. I
for
appreciate it.
your years in this space doing really good magical work. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me. I really
Yes,
appreciate it.
of course. All right. So if you want to know more about Promises to Kids, please go to their website at promises2kids, the number two, .org, right?
That's correct.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, we hope you learned something today that inspires you to do good for others.